Hello and welcome to my toadstool where I talk about all things fae, fairy, and fantasy. If you're into that sort of thing, please like and subscribe. Today I'm going to show you how I paint these pretty acrylic flowers that are super simple and you can use them to decorate cards and journals. First, I'm going to show you on some white piece of paper. I already did some kind of practice ones. That way they're a little bit dry and I can show you the next steps before we're waiting for the ones that I do right now to dry. And you don't have to wait for me. So you're going to need two different brushes. You're going to need a larger round brush and a smaller round brush. And it doesn't really matter what size or what brand as long as one is bigger than the other. And you're going to need some acrylic paint. I have some green paint for the leaves, and I have light blue for the base and dark blue for the outlines. And then I've got some white to just show you the outlines, how the outlines look with different colors. I think it looks really pretty when there's like a mix. So how I do my flowers is actually pretty quick, but I'm going to try to do it a little bit slower just so you can see what I'm doing. I'm basically just making the letter C tiny and then bigger and bigger for each layer until I get the size of flower that I would like. So I'm going to start with the letter C in the middle and then the letter C here. And I kind of start from one end and then I go on the other end and I just I guess I'm imagining like a square. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So imagine that's like one side, the second side, third side, fourth side. So this doesn't actually look like a square, but I'm just like imagining how I'm moving my brush. I'm like side, side, top, bottom. Hopefully that makes sense. And then I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to call these petals. So I'm going to start from like the middle of one of these petals and I'm going to go to the middle of the next petal. And so that petal that's on the outside is slightly bigger than the one on the inside. And I'm just going to choose random petals. So I'm just going outside and I'm not necessarily doing every single one, but see where there's like a gap? I'm going to fill that gap with a petal. I'm going to fill that gap with a petal. And I'm going to keep going until I get my flower as round as possible. So I'm going to look for where it looks like there's like a gap. So see how it's not super round, it's more like an oval. But here I can see if I make a petal here, it's going to look a little bit more round. That's what I'm going for. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to thicken up some of these lines so that I get a flower that doesn't have as much white showing. And you can do this as you go, or if you really like this style. To me, with all the gaps, it kind of almost looks like a mum rather than like a rose. And mine, I like them to look kind of rosy. So I'm going to fill in the gaps a little more. And it's okay for a little bit of white to show, but I like my flowers to look really nice and full. And I also think it's really pretty if you see right here where I kind of let my brush run out of paint. I didn't add more paint to make the lines very opaque. I think that looks really pretty, especially when you're doing like a row of flowers all together or like a wreath. I think that looks really pretty because it kind of softens it up and it makes it to where one flower to the next flower, there's kind of like a blur and they don't look super like distinct. And yeah, I don't know. I just really like that look. So once you have your base, you can let that dry and you can start adding your details. So they're not perfect. They're very soft looking and you can kind of do this like as like a meditative activity. Like if you're just like sitting and drinking tea, you can just kind of play with it and just make a whole bunch at once. And then later you can cut them out and you can glue them into your journals or your cards. And I just really think it's like fun to do because it doesn't have to be perfect. And once you add the little like outline lines, they actually look super pretty and detailed and complicated, and they're really not. So that's why I think they're so much fun. Let's go to this one right here because it looks pretty dry. And I'm going to switch from my big brush. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera. To my small brush. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to use the darker blue, and I want my lines to be fairly thin, so I'm just going to get as much excess paint off as I can. And I'm going to start from the middle, and I'm going to make those little C's, but I don't want them to be very thick. So I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to do a tiny C, and the other C is going to kind of hug the first C. So it's going to be starting in the middle and then going to the top. So the C's look kind of like an S, but like broken in the middle. And I'm just going to put the C's further and further apart as I go out. So you're basically doing the same thing that you did with the bigger brush, but you're focusing a little bit more to make it more intentional where your lines are at, instead of just making your strokes big and free. I could have even gotten away with maybe like a little bit thicker of a round brush because my flower is so big, and it would still look pretty nice. And you can make as many of these as you want. The tighter they are, the smaller the petals are going to look, and the bigger they are, the looser and fluffier your flowers are going to look. So it really just depends on the idea that you're going for. I really like to do like a bunch of these flowers on one sheet of paper, and then sizing that paper to a journal cover and just using it as a page filler, just to add some like color to your journal without having to like add any writing or lots of like paper pockets. Sometimes just having like a pretty paper, as if it were like a scrapbook paper that you would buy from those like scrapbook paper kits at like Michael's, but it's a DIY, so it's like that much more special. So same thing that I said about when we did like the initial design, making sure that it gets bigger as you go along. So like I started with tiny C's, they got bigger and bigger, and now I have these really huge ones. And I'm gonna outline the last kind of one, so it like pulls all of the loose base petal. I don't know why I'm calling that, but I'm calling the the light blue like a base, and then the outline is like the outline of the petal. I need a dictionary to figure out like what the actual vocabulary is for these, because I have no idea. A lot of the stuff that I make, like I just come up with like while I'm journaling, and I just don't really know if it's been done before, so I don't know like if there's specific vocabulary like for painting. I don't like watch painting tutorials, but maybe I should, just to like get the lingo down. Okay, so this is what I would consider complete for a flower, and you could leave them like this, or you can add little petals. And I'm going to clean off my brush and make some different shapes of petals. And you don't have to do petals if you're going to do something like a wreath like I have here. I think it looks really pretty with petals. But just like a single flower like that looks really cute. It might look pretty like on the front of a birthday card or something. But I cleaned off my brush, and I'm going to, actually, let me use the bigger brush first. Okay. So the leaves are super simple. I've got this kind of like light foresty green here, and I'm just gonna add kind of like a, I don't know how to describe the shape. I'm thinking like an almond. So I've got like, at the base, it's going to be a little bigger. And then I'm going to lift my brush up a little bit as I go. So I'm pressing my brush down. And then as I get further away from the flower, I'm like lifting my brush. So I don't know if you can really see what I'm talking about. Let me see. All right. So I'm going to start right on top of what I already did. Do you see that? And then I'm going to move kind of up, and then I'm going to touch the tip with my tip of my brush. So the tip of this petal, or I'm sorry, the tip of the leaf. I really feel like I should just not talk and I should just play music in the background and you guys would get the same concept, because I don't think me describing this is really helping much. But I'm basically making an almond shape. So I'm pressing my brush down and then kind of curving it down and around and then stopping at a point and then closing it by doing the same thing but upwards instead of downward. I think that makes sense. Hopefully. Let me know in the comments if you guys have better ways of explaining this, or if you're just annoyed by my voice, and let me know just to play music next time. I won't be offended. I just want to show you guys how to make cute stuff because it's fun. Okay, and you can make as many leaves as you'd like. You can do like little clusters, or you could just do like a little single one. Okay. I might do like one on this side. I think I'm like in the mood for flowers just because it's spring and I walk a lot, so I've been seeing so many pretty flowers. I take pictures of flowers and I put them on my Instagram. If you guys want to go to the High Up on My Toadstool Instagram, it's linked below. I post a lot of pictures of my items in my shop, and I also post pictures of like flowers from my walks and just like selfies. And I follow everybody who follows me. I did just realize there. Okay, so if you want to just do follow for follow to get more followers, I'm totally cool with that too. I'll definitely follow you. But I found out that there's a limit on how many followers you can, or I'm sorry, no, you can have as many followers as are willing to follow you. There's no limit to that, but you can only follow a certain amount of followers. And I had to do some research about that because not on this Instagram, because this one is for high up on my toadstool, but on my personal Instagram, I kept getting people complaining that they would follow me, but then like I wasn't following them back. And every time I went to their page to check, it would give me that button that says follow back. And I was like, I don't understand why, because I already followed you. And I looked it up, and I guess you can only have like 7,500 people that you're allowed to follow. So fun fact, don't follow that many people or else your friends might get very mad at you for not following them back. I think that's kind of excessive. I don't think you really need to follow that many. But what I did was I tried to get like a ton of followers myself. So I like just followed a bunch of people hoping that they would follow me back. And a lot of them did. But I was following 7,500 people and I got like 1,000. So it really just depends. If it's just for family and friends, I don't think you'll ever get to that amount of followers unless you just like live on Instagram. But I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you like Instagram. I have a problem with scrolling on YouTube more than Instagram, but I know a lot of people really like scrolling on like Instagram and TikTok. So let me know what your favorite social media is in the comment below, just so we can get to know each other. I do have some journals and products in my shop that I decorated with these flowers. So if you really like these flowers and you want to purchase something from my shop, or if you just want to like sneak around and see if there's anything else you like, I do have my shop listed in the comment section below. And I'm fairly new to doing tutorials. I'm really just not used to explaining how I do what I do, but I would like to share because it's a lot of fun. So if you have any suggestions for what you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to support me doing more YouTube videos like this, I would love for you to send me a coffee on my Ko-fi account. Okay, so these petals are not completely dry, but I think that I'll still be able to paint over them. I'm going to do a little bit of some white to show the veins. And you don't have to do veins, but I just think it looks kind of pretty. So I'm just going to do a line from the top to the bottom on all of these. I like it better when you're not super precise. I think it looks like more flowy, if that makes sense, like soft. So I'm going to do the middle, and then I'm going to do a little outline. I'm just tracing my leaf. And I'm not tracing exactly so that you can see like the green underneath the white. I don't want it to be super crisp. I want it to look soft. Okay, so that is my super simple flower. It is definitely a lot more simple than I feel like I explained it. I over-explain a lot, but if you like it, thank you so much. I appreciate you watching, and I would love for you to like and subscribe. If you want to see more DIY videos, check out my DIY playlist, and then I've also got a playlist in there for some in-progress projects that I'm working on if you're curious about things that are going to be coming to my shop shortly. And I hope you have a sparkly day. Goodbye.